before your presence. For he's the King of kings, he's the Lord of lords, conquering Lion of Judah. La 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 la. Ma da 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 so love man, Eli, Selassie. Bam 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 la 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 la. Bam 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 la 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 la. Bam bam la 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 la. La 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 la. Da 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 so everyone comes now to see Jah. Everyone comes now to see him. Everyone comes now to see Jah. Ruling in his whole alone.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Pianodrome. I'm your host today, Mark, and today we're going to be doing a vinyl listening session themed on protest music, which I'm incredibly excited about because I'm a massive nerd for protest music. So yeah, if any of you have come to my past listening sessions, we do a listening session every month here themed on a different topic. And in all the other sessions, I've spoken about this crossover between music and politics. I think music and politics are both things that I care a lot about. And I find music to be an incredibly powerful tool when it comes to politics, which can sometimes be a hard thing to explain to people. But yeah, the arts and the politics are completely, often people see them as separate things, but they're absolutely not. And music can be an incredibly powerful tool. And today I'm going to be going through a collection of records that to me kind of exemplify that connection between art and politics. And yeah, I'm going to be telling you some of the stories behind the musicians that made these records and the movements that they were a part of. So yeah, welcome. If this is your first time to the Pianodrome, it's a very beautiful space. We're going to be going for slightly longer today. We've got an hour and a half. So yeah, it is cold, and I know that that's a long time to sit through music, so feel free to get up and walk around and have a wee dance, go get some tea. Please just make yourself feel comfortable. And yeah, also feel free to come up and look at these records. A lot of these records were released in conjunction with particular political movements, so often they have leaflets or liner notes that speak about the movements that they were a part of. And that's how I learned about a lot of these stories I'm going to tell you. So if anything piques your interest, feel free to come up and have a look at the records. But yeah, this first record I'm going to play is a record that I picked up at a friend of mine's record fair that he used to run in the old film house before it got redone. He was a friend that we were doing a lot of political organising with, and he had this big case of old political folk records that were like £2 each. So I had an amazing day flicking through that and buying some records. And this is a record called Familiar Faces that is songs about women, written by Peggy Seeger. There's an absolutely fascinating record. I think something that is really cool about being able to share these is that a lot of these records aren't available to listen to anywhere apart from on the record. This isn't online anywhere. You can't really find that much information about it. But the stories are so important. A lot of these records were independently published, and they didn't make that many of them. And kind of once the campaign was over, they didn't bother putting them on Spotify and YouTube and things like that. So it's really nice to be able to share these stories and play these records, because, yeah, a lot of them are quite hard to find. So this is a record that me and Hannah, who's up there, we made a mix for the Pickle Community Radio, which is a radio station that I run from Greenhouse Records just down the road. And it was a mix that was all protest songs and union songs. And this is a record that we both really love. All the songs on it are very, very interesting, but the first song I'm going to play is called Carry Greenham Home, which is about the Greenham Common Peace Camp, which was a protest around the nuclear base that they were building on Greenham Common that lasted for, I think it was like 19 years, the protest. There were various different camps and various different protests happened throughout that. But the kind of peak of the protest movement was this human chain that they formed around the nuclear base, where they had 70,000 people linking arms to surround the base. And yeah, it was a protest movement that inspired a lot of activism in the UK. It's one of the biggest kind of protest movements we've had in this country, and for the most part it was led by women. So yeah, this is a song I really love off the record, Carry Greenham Home.
Hand in hand, the line extends all around the 9-mile fence. 30,000 women chant, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, nearer home and far away. Carry Greenham home. Singing voices rising high, weave a dove into the wire. In our hearts a blazing fire, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, nearer home and far away. Carry Greenham home. No one asked us if we cared if crews should be stationed here. Now we've got them running scared, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, nearer home and far away. Carry Greenham home. Here we sit, here we stand, here we claim the common land. Nuclear arms shall not command, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, nearer home and far away. Carry Greenham home. Singing voices sing again, to the children, to the men. From the channel to the glens, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, nearer home and far away. Carry Greenham home. Not the nightmare, not the scream, just the loving human dream of peace, the ever-flowing stream. Bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, nearer home and far away. Carry Greenham home. Woman tiger, woman dove, help to save the world you love. Velvet fist in iron glove, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, nearer home and far away. Carry Greenham home. Carry Greenham home, yes, nearer home and far away. Carry Greenham home.
Okay, so the next song I'm going to play is from another big protest movement in the UK, but from a lot longer ago. So this song was originally written in 1649. And and it's a song about the Diggers, which was a continuation from the True Levelers, which was a big movement of people in the UK who were both unable to and also unwilling to pay rent for the land that they lived and worked on in the UK. The Diggers were a lot of people credit them as being the kind of precursors of the modern day squatting movement, so they had a very different belief of how land should be managed and about the ownership of land, and they were very against the idea that these lords and landlords could come in and parcel up chunks of land and then sell it and rent it out for people and put in absolutely no labour off it and profit off it for the rest of their life. So the Diggers went around to different areas of common land and set up communities and would dig the land and grow the land, which they believed was their right. And the Diggers faced a lot of quite violent oppression, but they were also an extremely popular movement in their time, and the legacy they've had has been huge. So this is a song that was written by Jared Winstanley, who was one of the founders of the Diggers in the 1600s, and it's a cover by Chumbawamba, who are an anarchist communist group in the UK. Yeah.
You noble diggers all, stand up now, stand up now. You noble diggers all, stand up now. The wasteland to maintain, seen cavaliers by name, your digging does maintain, and persons all defame. Stand up now, stand up now. Your houses they pull down, stand up now, stand up now. Your houses they pull down, stand up now. Your houses they pull down to fright your men in town, but the gentry must come down and the poor shall wear the crown. Stand up now, diggers all. With spades and hoes and ploughs, stand up now, stand up now. With spades and hoes and ploughs, stand up now. Your freedom to uphold, seen cavaliers are bold, to kill you if they could, and rights from you to hold. Stand up now, diggers all. The gentry are all round, stand up now, stand up now. The gentry are all round, stand up now. The gentry are all round, on each side they are found, their wisdom so profound, to cheat us of our ground. Stand up now, stand up now. The lawyers they conjoin, stand up now, stand up now. The lawyers they conjoin, stand up now. To arrest you they advise, such fury they devise, the devil in them lies, and hath blinded both their eyes. Stand up now, stand up now. The clergy they come in, stand up now, stand up now. The clergy they come in, stand up now. The clergy they come in and say it is a sin that we should now begin our freedom for to win. Stand up now, diggers all. 'Gainst lawyers and 'gainst priests, stand up now, stand up now. 'Gainst lawyers and 'gainst priests, stand up now. For tyrants they are both, even flat against their oath. To grant us they are loath, free meat and drink and cloth. Stand up now, diggers all. The club is all their law, stand up now, stand up now. The club is all their law, stand up now. The club is all their law, to keep poor men in awe, but they no vision saw to maintain such a law. Stand up now, diggers all.
In 1649 to St George's Hill, A ragged band they called the Diggers came to show the people's will. They defied the landlords, they defied the laws. They were the dispossessed, reclaiming what was theirs. We come in peace, they said, to dig and sow. We come to work the lands in common and to make the waste grounds grow. This earth divided, we will make whole. So it will be a common treasury for all. The sin of property we do disdain. No man has any right to buy and sell the earth for private gain. By theft and murder they took the land. Now everywhere the walls spring up at their command. They make the laws to chain us well. The clergy dazzle us with heaven or they damn us into hell. We will not worship the God they serve, the God of greed who feeds the rich while poor men starve. We work, we eat together, we need no swords. We will not bow to the masters or pay rent to the lords. We are free men, though we are poor. You diggers all stand up for glory, stand up now. Men of property, the orders came. They sent the hired men and troopers to wipe out the diggers' claim, tear down their cottages, destroy their corn. They were dispersed, but still the vision lingers on. You poor take courage, you rich take care. This earth was made a common treasury for everyone to share. All things in common, all people one. We come in peace, the orders came to cut them down.
Attend, you gallant Irishmen, and listen for a while. I'll sing to you the praises of the sons of Erin's Isle. It's of those gallant heroes who voluntarily ran to release two Irish shamrocks from an English prison van. Hurrah, my lads, for freedom, let's all join heart and hand. May the Lord have mercy on the boys that helped to smash the van. On the 18th of September, it was a dreadful year, when sorrow and excitement ran throughout all Lancashire. At a gathering of the Irish boys, they volunteered each man to release those Irish prisoners out of the prison van. Hurrah, my lads, for freedom, let's all join heart and hand. May the Lord have mercy on the boys that helped to smash the van. In Manchester one morning, those heroes did agree. Their leaders, Kelly and Deasy, should have their liberty. They drank a health to Ireland and soon made up the plan to meet the prisoners on the road and take and smash the van. Hurrah, my lads, for freedom, let's all join heart and hand. May the Lord have mercy on the boys that helped to smash the van. With courage bold those heroes went, and soon the van did stop. They cleared the guards from back and front and then smashed in the top. But in blowing open of the lock they chanced to kill a man. So 3 men must die on the scaffold high for smashing of the van. Hurrah, my lads, for freedom, let's all join heart and hand. May the Lord have mercy on the boys that helped to smash the van. So now, kind friends, I will conclude, I think it would be right that all true-hearted Irishmen together should unite. Together should sympathise, my friends, and do the best we can to keep the memories evergreen of the boys that smashed the van. Hurrah, my lads, for freedom, let's all join heart and hand. May the Lord have mercy on the boys that helped to smash the van. Hurrah!
Okay, we've got a lost property announcement. Someone dropped this glove on the way in. If it's yours, it's here. Thank That last one was called Smash the Van, which was also from the Chumbawamba record. This is a really interesting record if you've never heard it. It's called English Rebel Songs, and it's kind of like a bit of an archive, really. It's songs written between 1381 and 1914, and it kind of tells a alternative history of England. So it goes through different protest movements and tells different stories from English history that aren't often taught. So that last song was about the Manchester Martyrs, which were 3 Irish people living in England who were hung for freeing a group of Irish rebel leaders who were held in Manchester at the time, who were able to escape. So yeah, I'm going to let that segue me into some Irish music. There is a lot of political Irish music out there. I could probably do a whole listening session on it, but I'm going to play a couple songs, or maybe just one for now, from this record here, which is a Folkways record called the Irish Rebellion album. It's funny, sometimes when you're digging in charity shops for these political records, it can be quite hard to tell if it's like a right-wing record or a left-wing record, because it's like, I feel like no matter what your politics are, we often use similar lingo, and we're often quite passionate about our causes. And I got this one because it was called the Irish Rebellion album, and then I turned it over, and the first song is called God Bless England, and the 10th song is called Join the British Army, and I was like, oh man, I think I've made a mistake here, but no, thankfully it's some satire. The song I'm going to play is a really beautiful song called The Patriot Game, which is a song about Fergal O'Hanlon, who was a 20-year-old volunteer for the IRA who was killed in an attack on the British barracks. I can't remember which British barracks, but a British barracks in Ireland at the time. And yeah, I think this is a really beautiful example of how a song can not only tell a story, but it can also kind of communicate the emotions and communicate the emotions behind the story. I think it's a very powerful song to listen to, not just because there's a lot of inspiration and pride in it, but there's also a lot of sadness, and it's a really heavy song. But yeah, it's a song that I really love. So yeah, this is The Patriots Game.
Come all you young rebels and list while I sing, for love of one's country is a terrible thing. It banishes fear with the speed of a flame, and makes us all part of the patriot game. My name is O'Hanlon, I'm just gone 16. My home is in Monaghan, and there I was weaned. I was taught all my life cruel England to blame, and so I'm a part of the patriot game. 'Tis barely 2 years since I wandered away with the local battalion of the bold IRA. I read of our heroes and wanted the same, to play out my part in the patriot game. They told me how Connolly was shot in a chair, his wounds from the battle all bleeding and bare, his fine body twisted, all battered and lame. They soon made him part of the patriot game. This Ireland of mine has for long been half free. 6 counties are under John Bull's tyranny, and still De Valera is greatly to blame for shirking his part in the Patriot game. I don't mind a bit if I shoot down police. They're lackeys for war, never guardians of peace. But yet as deserters I'm never letting those rebels who sold out the Patriot game. And now as I lie with my body all hose, I think of those traitors who bargained and sold. I'm sorry my rifle has not done the same for the quislings who sold out the Patriot game.
So that was Harvey Andrews' version of the Patriot game. And yeah, I think it's hard to speak about colonial projects like what the British were doing in Ireland without thinking of the current situation in Palestine. The next record that I'm going to play is a 7-inch by an artist called Zainab Shath, who was a Palestinian Egyptian songwriter. So her parents were from Palestine, and they moved for work to Egypt just before the Nakba, also just before she was born. She was born around the time of the Nakba. And they had only planned to move there temporarily, but after the Nakba, they weren't able to move back. So she grew up in Egypt as a stateless person. She grew up in a refugee camp for Palestinians in Egypt, and she didn't have the same rights that other people born in Egypt have. And that's a very common thing for Palestinians in the area around Palestine. It's very common for a lot of the countries to have this kind of two-tier citizenship thing. And it's a really horrible thing that so many of these people just don't have the equal rights, I guess. So she obviously was very frustrated by this and wanted to, she was very inspired by a lot of the music that was coming out at the time from America protesting the Vietnam War. So her aim was to make this kind of political folk record in English that would, I guess, hit the mainstream and spread the word of the Palestinian struggle. So she made this record. She wrote it when she was 16 and she released it when she was 18, which when you hear it is crazy. Listening to her voice, I can't believe that she was that young when she recorded it. But yeah, the record was released. It was quite a small run of records, but it was released by the cultural section of the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And it did spread around the world a bit, but then after a while, the Israeli occupation forces seized a lot of the records, but they also seized the master tapes, the tapes that the records were recorded onto. Which, if any of you came to the listening session I did 2 months ago, I played the record from the Intifada album that had a very similar story. It's a big tactic that the Israeli occupation forces have to seize these cultural objects and destroy them, to try and wipe out Palestinian cultural identity. And yeah, it's really inspiring when people are able to fight back and get this music back out there, because for a long time this was a lost record. There were some of the old records that had survived, but a lot of them weren't in very good condition. And then in 2021, a record label called Disco Stan was able to find a 7-inch record that was in good enough condition to be able to replicate it, because usually when you have a reissue of a record, you have the master tapes that the record was originally recorded onto, and then you're able to make the lacquer, which is like a metal reverse of the record, so it has the grooves sticking out rather than the indented grooves, and then you use that to make the new pressings of the record. So it's very hard to make a record if you don't have those original tapes to cut the lacquer from, but it is possible to do if you have like a pristine copy of the original record, which is often very hard to find. So yeah, they went through the process and were able to recreate this record and released it in conjunction with Majaz, which is the label who also released the Intifada record that I played in the previous listening session. So yeah, this was released around I think 2022. And yeah, it's heartbreaking that this song is as relevant as when it was first released. But yeah, it is a beautiful song nonetheless. So yeah, this track I'm going to play is called The Urgent Call of Palestine by Zainab Shath.
Can't you hear the urgent call of Palestine? Can't you hear the urgent call of Palestine? Palestine. Tormented, tortured, bruised and battered, and all her sons and daughters scattered. Can't you hear the sweet sad voice of Palestine? Can't you hear the sweet sad voice of Palestine? Palestine. She whispers above the roars of the guns, beckoning to all her daughters and sons. Can't you hear the agony of Palestine? Can't you hear the agony of Palestine? Palestine. Liberation banner, raise it high for Palestine. Let us do or die. Let us heed the urgent call of Palestine. Let us heed the urgent call of Palestine. Let us heed the urgent call of Palestine.
So yeah, that was The Urgent Call of Palestine by Zainab Shath. And yeah, speaking about colonialism, it's also hard not to speak about what's going on in Venezuela right now, which is really heartbreaking. Yeah, I feel like at school getting taught about empire and the colonialism, it very much felt like something that was finished. And yeah, it's a heartbreaking process growing up and realizing that that's very much not the case. But yeah, it's really inspiring when people and musicians stand up and get organized and fight against that, because it's something that we have to do. So this is a song that my friend Mariangela showed me, and it's by an artist called Soledad Bravo. It's called Hasta Siempre. She's a musician who was born in Spain, but moved to Venezuela when she was quite young and spent her life there. And the song is dedicated to Che Guevara, who was a revolutionary fighter in the war, in the Cuban Revolution, sorry. So yeah, this is Hasta Siempre.
Aprendimos a quererte desde la histórica altura donde el sol de tu bravura le puso cerco a la muerte. Aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara. Tu mano poderosa y fuerte. Desde la historia dispara cuando todo Santa Clara se despierta para verte. Aquí se quedará clara la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara. Vienes quemando la brisa con soles de primavera para plantar la bandera con la luz de tu sonrisa. Y aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara. Tu amor revolucionario te conduce a nueva empresa donde esperan la firmeza de tu brazo libertario. Aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara. Seguiremos adelante como junto a ti seguimos y con Fidel te decimos hasta siempre, comandante. Aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara.
So recently I've been on a big New Eurekan rabbit hole. So New Eurekan Soul is music from the Puerto Rican communities in New York. And New Eurekan music is incredibly political. Puerto Ricans especially in New York, well, Puerto Ricans in general, have been very oppressed by the United States for a long time. And a lot of the people who live in these communities, a lot of the musicians who make the music I've been listening to live in these communities. So artists like Ray Barretto and Tito Puente make this extremely powerful Latin music that has these like driving percussion, but then they also have this very strong political message. And it's really fascinating music to listen to. It's music that's very fun to play at a party, but it also has a very strong meaning behind it. And I came across this song recently by Pepe and Flora Sanchez that's called Que Bonita Bandera. And I guess when I came across it, I didn't really know very much at all about the history of Puerto Rico or about the history of the Puerto Ricans living in New York. And I looked up the translation, and the song translates to "What a Beautiful Flag." And yeah, I guess at first I was like, oh, this is some strange nationalist thing. I'm not that into people who are, love flags. But no, when I read a bit more into it, I realized that the Puerto Rican flag until 1957 was not only illegal to display in the United States, it was illegal to own. So for them, it was quite a powerful subversive thing to have this song saying, no, our flag is beautiful. And yeah, I was reading more into the stories behind the people who made the song, and I came across this. It was an article by Red Bull actually, but it had a really well researched article about this protest that happened in East Harlem, where the Young Lords, who were a group similar to the Black Panthers but fighting for Puerto Rican liberation in America, they approached a church to try to hire the venue for a community event that they wanted to set up. For the Young Lords at the time, a lot of people were quite opposed to them, so it was quite hard to find spaces that would host them. But this church was run by a Cuban man who they thought would be sympathetic to the cause. But he saw them approaching, and before they even got to the building, he phoned the police. And then once they were in the building speaking to them, he kind of held them up and chatted to them until the police arrived. And then, they were violently assaulted, and it was all very horrible. But they decided to come back. So a couple of days later, they returned to the church with a bigger group. They chased the minister out of the church, and they squatted the church. And they held it as a community center for 11 days. So every day they did free school meals for the children in the community, and then they did childcare and education classes throughout the day. And then in the evenings, they had a program of cultural events, which was mainly film screenings and music. And yeah, the music in the community at the time, it was extremely vibrant with the musicians I named before. But yeah, it had this description of the gig that Pablo and Flora Sanchez did, where they played this song, and the room erupted because Que Bonita Bandera had become a protest song. It was a song that people would sing at marches. So hearing it performed live, everyone knew the words, and it was a very uniting moment. And yeah, when the police eventually evicted the squat and kicked everyone out, word had spread around the community, and people came out to line the streets. And as they were carrying the people out into the police vans, the crowd all started singing Que Bonita Bandera. And yeah, it all just sounded like a very beautiful, uniting moment. And it's lovely to have music to tie us together in those situations. I think it's always like any protest I've been at, there's always people singing, and it feels like a necessary thing in these moments. So yeah, this is Que Bonita Bandera by Pablo and Flora Sanchez.
Un aplauso para Plenero. Vamos a ver. Qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, es la bandera Puerto Rico. Otra vez. Bonita, bonita, qué bonita es ella, señores, bonita es la bandera puertorriqueña. ¡Viene! Qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera. Otra vez. Azul, blanca y colorada, y en el medio tiene una estrella. Qué bonita, compay, es mi bandera puertorriqueña. ¡Viene! Qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera. Otra vez. Todo puertorriqueño tiene que defenderla, porque señores es nuestra bandera puertorriqueña. Otra vez. Que viva aquel gran patriota que siempre luchó por ella, defendiendo siempre nuestra bandera puertorriqueña. Otra vez. Que vino a Estados Unidos y estudió en grandes escuelas, y después fue a Puerto Rico a defender su bandera. Otra vez. la verdad y al piso un campo en la nueva era, al piso un símbolo vivo de la bandera puertorriqueña. ¡Hey! Otra vez. No importa Estados Unidos, dejarla flotar no quiera. Qué bonita, compay, es mi bandera puertorriqueña. Otra vez. Ritmo.
All right. I've just realised we've only got half an hour left, and there's a lot of songs I want to play, so I think I'm going to cut that one short. But yeah, it's an amazing song. The Young Lords, who were the group that organised that protest, were originally a street gang from Chicago. They were in quite a deprived neighbourhood in Chicago, and they got inspired by the politics of the Black Panthers. So they emerged from this street gang into like a militant political organisation that spread across the whole of the US, but yeah, they were very prominent in New York. So yeah, I thought I would play a record from the Black Panthers next. I learned about this record originally when I was watching a film that my friend Violet showed me by a French director called Carl Rosopoulos, and it's a documentary about the Young Lords, but it's mainly just footage from the meetings of them speaking and expressing their opinions, and it's a fascinating documentary that is very tricky to find online, but we have a magic USB stick that has it on. So at some point later this month, we're going to do a screening at Greenhouse Records of that film. We're not sure the exact day yet, but if you get us on Instagram or something, we'll post about that soon. The record from the Black Panthers that I'm going to play is a record by Elaine Brown, who was the first and only female leader of the Black Panthers. She led the Black Panthers from 1974 to 1977, and she was a big part of setting up the initial free school meals project, which inspired the Young Lords in a lot of their work. But the Black Panthers free school meal projects was huge. Like, a lot of what the Black Panthers were doing was almost building this state outside of the state. So they provided daily free school meals for, at its peak, around 20,000 children in the United States. And they also had a lot of educational programs, various other things that they worked on. The Black Panthers was originally an organization set up for self-defense. So there was a time when, I mean, sadly it's still the case, but there was a time when the violence from police officers against particularly black men in America was at a point where people felt like they needed to defend themselves. So the Black Panthers formed as an organization to train people to patrol the area with arms, to try and help police, to try and hold police officers more accountable, which obviously had a lot of pushback from the state. But the Black Panthers grew to be a huge organization across the US. And yeah, Elaine Brown was a musician before she joined the Black Panthers, and she released 2 albums singing about the Black Panthers and a lot of the stories that she came across. But this song is dedicated to Jonathan Jackson, who's the brother of George Jackson, who's quite a famous Black Panther who was very involved in the prison organizing. George Jackson was serving an indeterminate sentence, so a sentence with no end date, which a lot of black people in the US were subject to. And in many ways, it was just an extension of slavery. A lot of these men were given open-ended sentences for very minor crimes, and as part of their time in prison, they were forced to take part in unpaid labor. So you had like hundreds of thousands of particularly men working in factories, making clothes and things like that without getting paid. So Jonathan, when he was 17 years old, Jonathan George's brother, took part in an action where they stormed a courthouse and they took a judge and 2 other officials hostage, trying to speak for the release of his brother George. And yeah, Jonathan was sadly shot during that action, and in this song, Elaine Brown kind of pays tribute to Jonathan and tells his story.
You weren't there, you didn't see Jonathan, or do you care? What do you mean? Jonathan, he was so young, picked up a gun. Jonathan, but a man was he. He'd often go, he'd hurt us so. Jonathan, his mother's eyes gleamed, mother's cries. Jonathan, what he would do, none of us knew. Jonathan, for a man was he. Some brothers 3, they had no key. Jonathan saw them in jail, they had no bail. Jonathan, the USA will have to pay. Jonathan, for the man was he. For they would die lest he should try. Jonathan, oh, by his deeds, give them the keys. Jonathan, for those who rule, they couldn't fool. Jonathan, for a man was he. There are more you see that must be free. Jonathan showed us the way, what price to pay. Jonathan, open the door, just do it for Jonathan. You're a man like he, but you weren't there, you didn't see Jonathan. Or do you care, what do you mean? Jonathan, he was so young, picked up a gun. Jonathan, but a man was he.
So there's quite a heartbreaking passage in Elaine Brown's book when she speaks about the recording of this song. The Black Panthers was an organization that did a lot of amazing work, but like so many other political organizations, it was, there was a lot of patriarchal violence within the Black Panthers. And yeah, the day before recording this record, she was beaten by her partner, who was also a member of the Black Panthers, and she describes kind of leaving her flat very early in the morning to try and escape him, and then recording this and feeling her body in pain, but feeling like she wanted to get these stories out. And it's such a horrible thing that is sadly all too relatable. I feel like most of us here who've been in organizing spaces know the feeling of having a man who's taking up too much space and who's often being violent to other people in the group. And yeah, these are things that we need to fight because they make our movements weaker. The next song I'm going to play is also from the same Peggy Seeger record that I played earlier, and it's a song called Women's Union that speaks about some of the strikes that women went on, but also the women's support of the British miners' strikes.
Women left the kitchen sink, left the beds unmade. Women left the school and shop and joined the barricade. Women came from everywhere like we never had before to join the miners in the strike of 1984. We're in the Women's Union, we're all together now. days when men went out to picket. Women scraped for food and coal wherever they could get it. We greeted scouts with dustbin lids, then with lifelong silence. And we were there, always there, the women and the miners. We're in the Women's Union, we're all together now. We're fully paid up members and we've taken the union vow. We know where we're going and we know the reason why. We're the Women's Union and we're aiming for the sky.
I'll never forget the 14 months of 1984. A penny was like a pound at home, McGregor was at the door.
We ran soup kitchens, spoke at rallies, rattled collecting tins, faced the cops on the picket line and always fought to win. We're in the Women's Union, we're all together now. We're fully paid up members and we've taken the union vow. We know where we're going and we know the reason why. We're the Women's Union and we're aiming for the sky. Men, learn to cook and wash. Children, learn to sew. Stand there at the kitchen door and watch the women go. We're going where the action is to carry on the fight. Though the miners' strike is over, long live the miners' strike. We're in the Women's Union, we're all together now. We're fully paid up members and we've taken a union vow. We know where we're going and we know the reason why. We're the Women's Union and we're aiming for the sky.
When nurses strike for better pay,
join the picket line.
when printers hold the boss at bay,
Join the picket line.
when workers fight to win their rights,
Join the picket line. And we'll be there, always there, on the picket line. We're in the Women's Union, we're all together now. We're fully paid up members and we've taken a union vow. We know where we're going and we know the reason why. We're the Women's Union and we're aiming for the sky.
We will not forget. We must not forget. 13 dead and nothing said. We will not forget. We must not forget. No, we cannot forget. 13 dead and nothing said. We will not forget. Fire, fire, burn young ones in a London City New Cross. How can there be justice when the bombers are the boss? 13 young lives wasted, their fascist way of life. And if you walk the streets, them want to stab you with a knife. We will not forget, no, we must not forget. 13 dead and nothing said, we will not forget. We must not forget, no, we cannot forget. 13 dead and nothing said, we will not forget. Them have no right to bomb us, them have no right at all. As fire burn in New Cross, politicians have a ball. Black people will stand firm until the table turn. Black people will stand firm against the ugly fascist worm. It's plain and clear to see, it's true reality. You cannot live in fear at night and think that you are free. And we all know it's true, what do authorities do? Them don't do nothing, them don't care, they are bombers too. And we will not forget, no, we must not forget. 13 dead and nothing said, we will not forget. We must not forget, no, we cannot forget. 13 dead and nothing said, we will not forget. Don't forget, don't forget, don't forget.
So that's a song called 13 Dead by Benjamin Zephaniah, who is a poet, musician, academic. He's a very interesting man who spoke a lot about racism and animal rights and incarceration, and he was a big anarchist as well. He spoke a lot about anarchism. This song, 13 Dead, is about the New Cross fire, which happened in London in January of 1981. So it followed a period where there had been a lot of racist attacks on the black community in South London. And there was a house party in New Cross, on New Cross Road. And the house was set on fire, and 13 young children died, most of them teenagers. And it wasn't reported at all. The police refused to investigate it at the time. The BBC didn't speak about it. The Sun, all the other big newspapers at the time, completely ignored it. And a lot of artists took up the mantle of trying to get the word out there about this fire and what had happened. So you had Benjamin Zephaniah, you also had Sir Collins, who was a big reggae artist at the time, whose son actually died in the fire, and various other musicians speaking about it. And on the side of that, you had the New Cross Massacre Action Committee was set up, which organised what at the time was the biggest black-led protest in British history, where 20,000 people marched to the headquarters of various newspaper outlets, holding signs saying 13 dead and nothing said. And this was a record I was put onto by Hasib Iqbal, who is someone whose radio show I listen to a lot, and he speaks a lot about this idea of artists' role as journalists, and journalism through art, not necessarily in as literal a sense as this, where art is directly speaking about, like he's chanting this in the song, but just artists' responsibility to speak about the communities they're in and the things that they experience and the things that happen around them through their art. Not only because it's a powerful way to communicate it, but also because a lot of the things that happen don't get communicated to us through these mainstream media outlets. And yeah, if it wasn't for records like this, I wouldn't know the story of what was happening in South London at that time, and I wouldn't know the story of the New Cross fire. And yeah, I think the next record I'm going to play is another really interesting example of how people can use art as a way of spreading a message. I see Jay over there. I always find jazz to be a very political genre, but a lot of my political friends hate jazz. So I'm excited to have a lot of them here so I can force them to listen to a political jazz record. So this is a record called We Insist that is by Max Roach, and it features Coleman Hawkins, who is another very big jazz artist in America at the time. And it kind of traces a story through the different songs. So the song I'm going to play is called Driver Man, which is a description of what it was like to be a slave. And it goes through, so it has Driver Man, and then it has a song called Freedom Day, which is singing about the day that the Emancipation Law was passed and slaves found out that they were free. And the song starts off as this huge celebration of realizing that they had this freedom. And then as the song goes on, it becomes more and more anxious and more tense as the musicians realize that, like, are we actually free? We have some sort of freedom, but there's still so much pain and so much suffering for the black community. And it maps it through to the present day. So this record was released in 1960, just after the Shapesville massacre happened in South Africa. And the record builds up to this point where it traces the history of what's happened to these communities up until the time when this record was released. So I said Shapesville, I think it's Sharpeville actually. So the Sharpeville massacre was a massacre that happened in South Africa at an anti-apartheid protest. So a huge protest had marched up to a government building, and they were peacefully demonstrating outside, and the protesters had been told to wait because a government official was going to come and speak to them. So they were all stood outside this government building, and then instead of a government official coming up to speak to them, a whole line of police cars and army showed up and opened fire on the crowd. And that day, 91 people were killed and 240 people were injured. And obviously news spread around South Africa about this, but this wasn't something that was on the global stage at all. So these musicians took it upon themselves to create an album to try and get the message of what had happened out there, and to try and tell this story to people, and I think they did it in a really beautiful way. I wish I could play the whole thing for you, but we don't have time for that. But yeah, I'd really recommend going and listening to this record, because I think not only are they communicating a really important message, but I just really enjoy the way that they did it, and I think, for me, through listening to this, I feel so much more emotionally connected to it than I do from just reading an article about it. So yeah, the song I'm going to play is called Drive a Man.
Drive a man, he made a life, but the mammy ain't his wife. Chopping cotton, don't be slow, better finish out your row. Keep a moving with that plow. Drive a man'll show you how. Get to work and root that stump. Drive a man'll make you jump. Better make your hammer ring. Drive a man'll start to swing. Ain't but two things on my mind. Drive a man and quitting time. Finish out your road. Keep a moving with that plow. Drive a man'll show you how. Get to work and root that stump. Drive a man'll make you jump. Better make your hammer ring. Drive a man'll start to swing. Ain't but two things on my mind. drive a man in quitting time, drive a man to kind of boss, ride a man and lead a horse. When his cat o' nine-tail fly, you be happy just to die. Run away and you'll be found by his big old red-bone hound. Paddy roller bring you back, make you sorry you is black. Drive a man he made a life, but the mammy ain't his wife. Ain't but two things on my mind, drive a man and quitting time.
All right, so we're coming to the end of today's listening session. I've got one more song I'm going to play for you, which is the song I'm probably most excited to share. But before I do that, the next listening session is going to be on Valentine's Day, which is very exciting. So yeah, we're going to do it themed on love songs, which I think is very, very connected to the politics, actually. We're going to speak about musicians that spread love through their music, and yeah, it doesn't have to be something you turn up to on a date. I think it will also be quite interesting, hopefully. I'm going to go through like the history of lovers rock, and yeah, I'll link it all up nicely. The final artist I'm going to play is Fela Kuti, who for me is kind of like the exemplification of someone who was not only revolutionary in their politics but also in their creativity. Fela Kuti was a Nigerian revolutionary who was releasing music from, I think, like the late 60s. He started, and at that time, Nigeria was a very hard place to live. Nigeria was by far the biggest country in Africa. It had a population of over 100 million people, which made up a quarter of the whole of Africa, and it was the sixth largest oil producer in the world. So there was a huge amount of money going through Nigeria at the time, but the wealth disparity was unbelievable. So many people were living in very low poverty, and the government at the time was a very, very fascist police state. So Fela Kuti, when he was younger, he studied music in London and was in America for a bit and kind of got exposed to the politics of people like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And when he came back to Nigeria and saw the place he grew up, he was very shocked by the politics and the situation at the time, and he wanted to get involved in the politics, so he tried to run for president and wasn't allowed to put his name on the ballot because his politics were too left-leaning. So instead he started trying to like build up this community through his music. So he set up a compound in the working class neighborhood that he grew up in. And this compound grew to, I think at its peak there was around 100 people living there. And it became a hub, a cultural hub in Lagos, but it also became a hub where people would go to find out about news and politics, and people would go. It became a hub for organizing, basically. A lot of protests were organized there, and a lot of the kind of radical left in Nigeria at the time used that hub as a bit of a home base. And it was quite intensely guarded. So at the time when he was speaking about these political messages, he was also kind of revolutionizing the music. So the record I'm going to play is a record called Alagbon Close, which many people speak of as the first Afrobeat record. So this wasn't Fela Kuti's first record. Fela Kuti had been playing about with the styles in this record long before this, but this was the first record where they kind of all came together into the sound that we now know as Afrobeat. And Fela Kuti is famous for having these long 20, 30-minute songs where he's chanting over and over these political messages, and most of the songs are directly tied to events that had happened. So there were two big raids of his compound, Calcutta Republic, in Lagos. I think in 1977, there was a raid where 1,000 soldiers surrounded the compound with guns, and there was a 16-hour siege where the rebels in the compound were trying to defend themselves, but eventually the army were able to break in, and they brutally assaulted Fela and his mother and brought them both to this prison cell. And the prison cell was called Alagbon Close. So this song is a direct response to what Fela went through then. And yeah, Fela worked with, I think I did write down his name. I can't remember. The artist that Fela worked with made these incredibly iconic artworks. So all the different album covers, they're almost like these comic strip images. There's a lot of action, and they kind of, they tell the story of the things that he's speaking about. So Alec Bon Close, you see the building on the left-hand side, that's the jail cell that he was held in after he was arrested, and then this wave is like Fela breaking back out into Lagos and spreading his message. And a lot of the music was direct responses to things that had happened, but then also a lot of the music, like the record Zombie he released, which is a very famous record, which is very antagonistic towards the military in Nigeria at the time. A lot of these records would have repercussions of, like as soon as they were released, the house would be raided and he'd be taken and beaten. And yeah, it was this horrible cycle, but Fela Kuti inspired people across the world, and the movement was huge. And it's not, as I've said, it's not just the politics, but the music that came out of it was amazing. And the spaces he was able to create, where he would play these sessions that lasted for like 12 hours, and people would be engaged and they'd be dancing, but they'd also be politically conscious at the same time. And I think it made it a really appealing place for people to come to. It wasn't just a boring lecture about music. It made music exciting, and it made politics exciting, and it really made it alive. And I think that's an incredibly powerful thing to do. And yeah, it's something I think we need to try and do more of. Like, I always try and play this music at parties because I think it's important to try and politicize these spaces, and it's something that I think I could be doing a lot better, but it's something that I strive to be doing through the events that we put on and through events like this. And yeah, the music is amazing. I think I'm done speaking for now, but yeah, this is Alec Bon Close by Fela Kuti.
Now listen. Yeah. Now listen. Never mind, never mind, never mind. I did do my part. I'm a human being like you, like you. Now listen. Oh. Yeah. Now listen. Never mind, never mind, never mind. I did do my part. I'm a human being like you, like you. Yeah. Now listen. I be a beko. I did do my part. Without me, your city go smell like shit.
Never mind.
Oh, no.
I did do my part. I be human being like you.
I be civil servant. I did do my part. Without me, everything goes cut off a town.
Never mind.
Oh, no.
I did do my part. I be human being like you.
I be doctor. I be lawyer. Without me, you go die. You go for jail.
Never mind.
Oh, no.
I did do my part. I be human being like you.
I the sing, I the dance, I the paint. Without me, you no go happy at all.
Never mind.
Oh, no.
I did do my part. I be human being like you.
I the for court. I the judge a case. Without me, policeman go lock you for life.
Never mind.
Oh, no.
I did do my part. I be human being like you.
Never mind, never mind. I did do my part. I'm a human being like you, like you. Eh? Now listen. Oh. Now listen. Yeah. Listen. I like on the road. Like one year ball. We 1 year wind to the blow. From 1 year corner. Now listen. For while ago, them go know so you believe, bro. They go love you till you die. Magistrate no get eye for back you. For while ago, them go know so you be civil servant you. They go lucky they no go mind. The lawyer go quench for station. For while ago, them not care for doctor or lawyer. They go lock you and shine you for court. Magistrate go start talk on you before you. For one ago, you go sing and quench for jail. You go dance and paint for sale. Before they shine you for you go. Hey, party pa. For lag more, no. Them no get respect for human beings. Them no know so you get blood like them. Them go send them duck to bite you. Them go send them duck to bite you. Them go point them gun for your face. The gun with them take your money to buy. They don't want my head with them gun. The gun with them take my money to buy. Them go to show you and take your statement from you. For Alago, them go to show you and take your statement from you. For Alago, them go lock you for months and months and months. And they call them investigation. Them go lock you for months and months and months. And they go come investigation. Them go lock you for months and months and months and months and months. If you know them for Alago, make you tell them, make them hear. If you know them for Alago, make you tell them, make them hear. Uniform like a lot, I tell all this so tell me no.
Uniform like cloth, I tell all this so up.
Tell me no.
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the soap.
Tell all the so I'm like your dress.
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the soap.
Tell all the so I'm like my dress.
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the soap.
Nothing special about uniform now.
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the soap.
Nothing special about uniform now.
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the soap.
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the so
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the soap.
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the so
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the soap.
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the so
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the soap.
Uniform na cloth, na tell all the so Them go lucky for months and months and months. They call up investigation. Them go lucky for months and months and months and months and months and months and months. Oh.